Hello everyone, this is Thủy from Daily Dharma Wisdom. Tonight, I want to share with you a story that feels very close to our daily life. It is not only a story to listen to before sleep, but also a way to understand ourselves better. To be honest, I have also felt the same as the character in this story, afraid of not being good enough, afraid of failure, afraid of not meeting expectations. Maybe you have felt this too, right?
Tonight, we begin a gentle journey, not towards some faraway destination, but into presence, into this very moment, a moment where you can finally set down the burdens of the day and allow yourself to rest. Together, we will explore the timeless wisdom of the Buddha, teachings that for more than 2,500 years have served as a refuge for restless minds. These are not rules you must obey. They are not doctrines to memorize. Instead, they are gentle invitations. Invitations to see differently, to loosen your grip, to uncover the deep well of peace that has been within you all along. As you listen, notice how your body begins to soften. The simple act of listening can itself be a practice of letting go. Let these words flow over you like warm water, washing away the tension of the day. There is no effort required, no goal to reach, no role you need to play. Here, you can simply be. On this path, we will walk together through old stories and truths that are both simple and profound. These are teachings that do not speak to the busy, restless mind, but to the quiet, knowing heart, a heart that already understands how to rest. If only given the chance, you will learn to see your thoughts not as harsh masters demanding obedience, but as drifting clouds moving across the wide sky. You will begin to recognize your difficult emotions not as enemies to fight, but as messengers, signals pointing you gently toward healing. So welcome, my friend, to this sanctuary. This space is yours, a place to rest your mind and nourish your spirit. In this moment, you need nothing more, nothing to fix, no image to uphold, no person you need to become. Simply breathe, and allow yourself to sink into the safety of this present moment. If these words awaken something deep within you, know that you are free to return here whenever you wish, to remember the peace that has always been your birthright. For now, let us just begin. One breath, one step. Together, we enter this gentle journey into rest. For a while, Mara's weaving brought her great joy. Each tapestry she completed felt like a celebration of her gift, and the villagers praised her talent with admiration. But slowly, alongside her success, a quiet fear began to grow. Every new work had to surpass the last. The bar was raised higher and higher, and with it, her heart grew restless. At night, instead of falling into peaceful sleep, she would lie awake, her mind spun with endless designs, threads and patterns chasing one another in the darkness. She worried that one day her inspiration might vanish, and with it, her identity as the great weaver. The joy of creation, once so pure, became clouded by the heavy weight of expectation. One day, a royal messenger arrived at her door with a commission from the king himself. He asked for a tapestry that would capture the very soul of the kingdom, its forests, its rivers, its people, its spirit. For Mara, this was the greatest honor she could imagine, and the most terrifying challenge of her life. Determined not to fail, she built a massive new loom and bought the finest threads of silk and gold. Yet when she tried to begin, her hands trembled. Days passed, then weeks. Each time she sat before the loom, the task felt impossibly vast. The fear of imperfection became a prison she could not escape. Her once joyful workshop, once alive with color and song, grew silent and cold. The empty loom stood like a monument to her dread, a reminder of her fear. She withdrew from those around her. Her laughter faded, and the light in her eyes grew dim. The friction in her mind, the Buddha called it dukkha, became her constant torment.
When I hear this part of the story, I feel it is also about us. Many times, we try so hard to be perfect, and the more we try, the more pressure we feel. I have also felt this pressure in my own life. This is not the work that makes us tired, but the fear of not being enough. Have you ever felt the same?
One evening, unable to endure the oppressive silence of her workshop any longer, Mara set out along the mountain path. The sun was sinking low, painting the sky with hues of fire and violet. Her heart was heavy, yet her feet carried her upward, step by step, until she reached a small hermitage where an old nun lived. The nun was known in the village for her quiet wisdom, her presence as calm and steady as a deep forest pool. Mara, voice trembling with despair, poured out her heart. She spoke of her fear, her paralysis, her longing to create, and the cage of perfection she could not break free from. The old nun listened patiently, saying nothing, her gaze steady and kind. When Mara finally finished, expecting guidance or advice, the nun simply said, "Come, let us watch the sunset." They sat together on a smooth rock overlooking the valley. The sky before them unfolded in a breathtaking display, brilliant oranges fading into deep purples, soft pinks dissolving into gentle blues. It was a living masterpiece, shifting and transforming with every passing moment. The nun spoke softly, "No one expects the sunset to hold still. Its beauty is in its vanishing. It does not compare itself to last night's sky, nor does it worry about tomorrow. It simply is." The nun turned her gaze toward Mara, eyes filled with profound kindness. Her voice was calm, yet carried the weight of truth. "You are not the weaver," she said gently. "You are the loom. Life is the true weaver." Her words seemed to echo in the fading light. Mara sat still, letting them sink in. The nun continued, "Joy, fear, inspiration, and even emptiness, they are all threads of many colors. But you, Mara, have been trying to control the threads, weaving only with gold, desperate to create something flawless. Tell me, what depth can a tapestry have if it is woven with only one color?" Mara's heart trembled. The nun leaned closer. "The problem is not that you are afraid. The problem is that you believe you should not be afraid. Fear, too, is a thread of life. Doubt, too, has its place in the pattern. When you fight against them, you tighten the very knot that holds you captive." The truth of these words settled deep within Mara's bones. For the first time in months, the weight pressing on her shoulders began to release. She realized she was not her success, nor was she her fear. She was the open space, the loom itself, through which all experiences passed. That night, Mara walked down the mountain under a sky scattered with stars. The silence that once suffocated her now felt vast and comforting, like the night sky itself. The next morning, she returned to her workshop. She took a long, steady breath, sat before her loom, and began to weave. This time, she did not chase perfection. She did not fight her fear. Instead, she wove what was in her heart that day. The grey of her worry, the coarse texture of her anxiety, but also the deep purple of the sunset and the silver shimmer of starlight. The tapestry that emerged was unlike anything she had created before. It was not perfect, but it was alive. It carried honesty, it breathed with her own humanity, and in weaving her whole self, not just the shining parts, but the darker threads too, Mara discovered her freedom. Mara's story is our story. The friction, the Buddha called it dukkha, is not the royal commission or even the fear of failure. It is our clinging to identity, our resistance to the full spectrum of human experience. The first noble truth points to this directly. Life will inevitably bring moments that are unpleasant: sickness, loss, disappointment. These are not mistakes, but part of the landscape of being alive. The second noble truth tells us that suffering arises not from these experiences themselves, but from craving, from our desperate thirst for life to be different. Mara suffered not because of the king's request, but because she wanted to be only the perfect weaver. She resisted the darker threads of doubt and fear. And this craving, this resistance, is the natural reflex of an untrained mind. We humans are conditioned to chase after pleasure and run from pain. It is almost instinctive. We build our identities around our talents, our successes, the things we believe make us strong. And at the same time, we try to hide our flaws, our weaknesses, as if they make us less worthy. But can you see the pressure this creates? It is like building a dam in the middle of a flowing river. At first, the wall seems to hold, but the water keeps pressing, harder and harder. The pressure never stops building. Eventually, the weight becomes unbearable. This is what happens when we cling to pleasure and resist pain. The Buddha's teaching is a radical invitation, not to fight the river, not to build a dam, but to step back and recognize that it is our own craving, our own resistance, that creates the pressure we feel. When we chase happiness as though it were a permanent state, we set ourselves up for disappointment, because everything in life is impermanent. When we run from sadness, trying to bury it or deny it, we give it even more power over us. So where does wisdom lie? It lies in turning toward our experience with a gentle, courageous curiosity. It means learning to embrace all the threads, both light and dark, that life weaves into our being. This understanding is profoundly empowering. It means the key to peace is not out there, not in rearranging the world or forcing reality to bend to our will. The key is in here, in transforming how we see, in changing the way we relate to our own mind. We cannot stop the river of life from flowing, but we can learn to navigate its current with grace. Instead of resisting, we can learn to move with it, to trust its flow, to let it carry us forward. And this is where the practice begins for each of us. You don't need to be a monk in robes, or a master weaver like Mara. You can start right where you are, in the ordinary moments of your life. You can begin this practice in the very midst of your daily life. It starts simply, by becoming an observer of the friction within your own mind. Perhaps you know that familiar tightening of anxiety, the way your chest feels heavy, or your stomach knots up, or maybe it's that sudden flash of irritation when things don't go your way, or the sharp pang of disappointment when life turns differently than you hoped. In those moments, instead of being swept away by the story, try pausing, just for a breath. Take one conscious inhale, and then a slow, steady exhale. Step back gently, as if you were watching from the outside. Imagine you are a scientist observing an unusual weather pattern. You don't judge the storm clouds. You don't fight the rain. You simply notice. Name it softly to yourself. This is frustration. Or, this is the feeling of wanting things to be different. That simple act of naming and observing creates space. And in that space, something shifts. You are no longer the emotion itself. You are the one who is aware of it. And that awareness is the very beginning of freedom. From here, you can take a second step. Begin to get curious about the craving underneath. Ask yourself, what is my mind thirsting for in this moment? If you are stuck in traffic, the craving might be for the cars to vanish, for the road to magically clear so reality bends to your schedule. If you are hurt by a friend's harsh comment, the craving might be for their words to have been different, for the past to somehow be rewritten. See if you can identify this desire without judgment. Look at it with the same gentle curiosity you might show a child who wishes for sunshine on a rainy day. By seeing the craving clearly, the heart begins to soften. You do not need to fight the craving. You do not need to shame yourself for having it. You only need to see it for what it is, a natural but unskillful reflex of the mind, born from the wish to control life. And the moment you see it clearly, it already begins to loosen its grip. The mind's resistance does not live only in our thoughts. It also shows up in the body. When the mind clings and struggles, the body often bears the weight. Have you noticed how tension creeps into your shoulders? Or how your jaw tightens without you realizing it? Sometimes the stomach knots itself, as if trying to hold back a tide of emotion. This is the body speaking the language of the mind. Each knot, each tightness, is a sign of resistance. And yet, here too, we can practice. When you notice friction rising within you, pause for a moment and scan your body. Begin with the face. Is your brow furrowed? Are your lips pressed tight together? Move down to your shoulders. Are they hunched or lifted as though carrying an invisible weight? Notice the chest, the belly. Is the breath shallow, caught at the surface? Now, bring your attention gently to these places. With every exhale, invite them to soften. Let the jaw unclench. Let the shoulders sink, as if they are releasing the burdens of the day. Allow the stomach to loosen, welcoming the breath more fully. You do not need to force relaxation. You cannot think your way out of resistance, but you can breathe your way through it. Each breath is like a gentle hand opening a clenched fist. Each exhale is an invitation to let go. This practice is not about erasing tension in one moment, but about building a new habit, teaching your body that it is safe to release, safe to rest. With time, as the body softens, the mind begins to follow. You start to discover that you do not need to fight against life to find peace. Peace comes naturally, like the still surface of a lake once the ripples fade. In these small moments of softening, you are retraining your whole being. You are telling yourself, it is safe to feel everything. It is safe to rest. It is safe to simply be. You are learning to be the loom, allowing all the threads of life, joy and sorrow, light and shadow, to be woven together into the ever-changing, imperfect, yet beautiful tapestry of your being. Let us pause here for just a moment. Feel the rhythm of your own breath, moving gently in and out. This breath is like an anchor in the river of time, holding you steady as the currents of life continue to flow. With each exhale, soften a little more. Release the tension you may still be holding, in your shoulders, in your jaw, in your chest. Let the edges of your busy day melt into this quiet space of rest. You do not need to be anywhere else. You do not need to become anyone else. In this moment, you are enough. This journey we've taken together tonight, through the story of Mara, through the teaching of friction, through the gentle practices of awareness and softening, is not about escaping life. It is about entering it fully, with an open heart. And if this path of stillness and reflection has touched something within you, remember that you can return to it anytime. Here, in this sanctuary of presence, peace is always waiting. So for now, simply rest. Allow these teachings to sink beneath the surface of your mind, like seeds planted in fertile soil. Let them take root quietly, without effort. Trust that they will grow. Take one more deep breath in, and release it with a gentle sigh. Feel your body sinking deeper into the surface that supports you. You are safe. You are whole. You are the loom, steady and open, through which the tapestry of life is woven. And as you drift toward rest, carry with you this quiet truth. Peace is not something you must chase or create. It is already here, in the simple act of being present.
As we come to the end of this story, I feel there is something very real here for all of us. Life will always bring both joy and fear, success and failure. We don't have to run from them or hide them. We can let them all be part of our journey. For me, this is a gentle reminder that I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be present, honest, and open to life as it is. Maybe you feel the same. Maybe tonight you can also allow yourself to rest, without pressure, without fear.
If this journey has brought you a moment of calm, or if Mara's story has touched your heart in some way, I invite you to stay connected with us here at Daily Dharma Wisdom. You can subscribe to the channel so that these gentle reminders of peace are always within reach, whenever you need them. If tonight's reflection has been meaningful to you, please take a moment to like this video, or share it with someone you care about. Sometimes, a single story, a single breath, is enough to ease another person's burden. Together, we are weaving a community, a tapestry of kindness, wisdom, and rest. And with your support, these teachings can continue to reach more hearts in need of quiet and peace. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, for breathing, for allowing yourself to rest. May you drift into sleep tonight with ease. And may peace accompany you in the days to come.